It gives me great pleasure to join you today at the 5th edition of this prestigious EOBS event. The MC described it as the Davos of Ghana. I think that is not too far off, probably. The topic of the conference, Unlocking Ghana's Potential with Mobile Money and Payment Systems, is a relevant and timely one. The role of financial inclusion in development is one that has been long recognized throughout economic history. You go back to the 1700s in Europe, and there was very active, attempt to get financial inclusion, the Friendly Societies Act, and so on. And the reason is simple. If you have an economy in which the majority of your population is actually excluded from the financial system, it just is the case that your savings in that financial system will be much lower. And we all know what the role of savings in development is. If you have more savings in your financial system, then you will have more investment in the economy. More investment means more growth. More growth means lower unemployment and less poverty. And so the nexus is quite clear between financial inclusion, economic growth, poverty reduction, job creation, increased investment. Now, for us in the financial sector, the MC made a comment earlier on that he wanted to know from the central bank what will happen to interest rates. In fact, the whole issue of interest rates and how we bring down interest rates sustainably has a direct relationship with financial inclusion. I think that, and I think many in our markets ignored this point for a long time. But it just goes to it's not difficult to see that if you have more savings in the financial system, then interest rates, other things being equal, will come down. So if you have an economy where 60%, 70% of your population are excluded from the financial system, structurally you should expect higher interest rates, other things being equal. That the structure of the economy will deliver higher interest rates. And so financial inclusion and bringing down interest rates are actually quite linked. The mobile money system, of course, as I said, this is not a new idea that you should try to include more people in the financial system. And so you've had, as the Deputy Governor noted, rural banking, savings and loans, more branch banking, microfinance, attempts to include. But the mobile money system, which is money transfers and payments using the mobile phone, was really took off with the launch in Kenya by the Safaricom of their M-Pesa system, which was on the 6th March of 2007. 6 March 2017, because incidentally the day Ghana celebrated its 60th independence anniversary, was also the day mobile money was celebrating 10 years of its anniversary launch. So it makes the theme of this conference significant. Mobile money today, or M-Pesa as it's called in Kenya, contributes more than 43% to Kenya's GDP, according to the Kenyan Central Bank. And a research study by MIT, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, shows that in Kenya, increased access to mobile money has reduced poverty, particularly among female-headed households. Rapid expansion of mobile money has lifted an estimated 2% of Kenyan households, that is an approximate approximately about 200,000 people out of extreme poverty, and consequently 185,000 have moved out of subsistence farming into business or sales occupations. Such has been the transformative impact of mobile money in East Africa's largest economy, that is Kenya. In fact, the whole issue of digital payments is so important. The central bank has been pushing for a cashless society for a while. Indeed, the central bank has passed the new Bank of Ghana Act, which had specific incentives on promoting a cashless society, a new banking act which liberalized the banking sector and allowed the entry of foreign-owned banks to bring competition in the banking doorstep of the ordinary Ghanaian. The increased competition among banks means mobile and online banking became an increasing channel to deliver banking products to customers. Additionally, we saw the establishment of the Ghana Interbank Payments and Settlement System in 2007. GIPS was mandated to migrate Ghana onto an electronic payment community as part of efforts to modernize Ghana's payment system. GIPS has developed, amongst others, the eSwitch, a payment system which has grown exponentially and is being adopted by many banks. Whereas there were only 496,000 eSwitch cards issued in 2010, there are now more than 1.8 million eSwitch holders in the country. Also, by way of ensuring an effective regulation and supervision of the payments sector, Parliament passed into law the Payment Systems Act 2003, Act 662 for this purpose. I'm aware this act has been amended to consolidate the laws relating to payment services and to regulate institutions that carry on payment services. Mr. Chairman, although certain sectors of the economy, like agriculture and manufacturing, have not been growing in the manner that the government has desired, one trend that is inescapable is the huge contribution of the services sector to Ghana's GDP. One notable subsector is the telecommunications sector, driven by the mobile telecommunications companies, where formerly landline telephones were a luxury. The ownership of mobile phones grew among Ghanaians. Competition amongst mobile network operators meant that digital financial service was just a matter of time. In 2009, Ghana officially launched the mobile money service in the country, targeted at the unbanked population. This coincided with the growth in mobile phone penetration rates in the country. At the end of 2009, Ghana had a mobile subscriber population of about 15.1 million and a mobile phone penetration rate of 65.9%. According to the NCA, by December 2016, the total number of mobile voice subscribers has shot up to 38.3. This is because people are having 2 or 3 or 4 phones, so representing a total penetration rate of 136%. This means that the 7-year period between 2009 and 2016, you saw a major growth of mobile phone subscriptions. Despite the fact that, however, banking started in Ghana about a century ago, only 40% of Ghanaians have bank accounts, meaning the majority of the population is unbanked. This unbanked population therefore use cash for transactions, excluding them from the formal financial system, that is access to savings, banks, credit, and mortgages, and so on. In July of 2015, the Bank of Ghana introduced a new e-money issuer guidelines to govern the mobile sector. A key part of the guidelines is that banks should pay interest on the float kept by banks on behalf of the e-money issuers. Well, this, I think, is happening. and we must continue to urge the central bank to look at the regulations in this sector to try to better understand the space so that the sector can grow, at the same time keep our financial system stable. Mr. Chairman, the government of Nana Akufo-Addo is pro-business. It goes without saying, and we have made it a point that we want to build the most business-friendly economy in Africa. We are therefore keen on developing the financial sector to deepen financial inclusion and bring more Ghanaians out of extreme poverty. This informed the decision of the President to abolish the 17.5% VAT on financial services as announced by the Minister of Finance in his budget, which was presented on the 2nd of March. The abolition of the VAT of financial services is meant to encourage the development of financial transactions and mobile money, because research has proven that countries with strong financial systems also experience strong economic growth. Interoperability, or the ability of a subscriber to send money from one network to the other, should be possible in Ghana as a matter of course, as it is in other countries. This is a very important issue, and it is an issue that we should really, all the stakeholders, turn our attention to. Ghana is really a blessed country. When you look at the financial inclusion architecture in this country, the banks are there, the mobile companies are there, the central bank and the GIPS, the payment system architecture with eSwitch, which tries to target the unbanked. So we have, an architecture that, quite frankly, I don't see in any other country in Africa. I really don't see it. We have been blessed with a major architecture which have been developed separately. The eSwitch architecture is very, very important. The telcos have an architecture which is very, very important. The banks have an architecture which is very important. What we are lacking is interoperability. But interoperability cannot be forced on the players. There must be a sound case, and people have to see the sense in it. I therefore want to challenge the stakeholders that this is not rocket science, making sure that there is interoperability between the Ghana Link, which the banks are on, the eSwitch platform, and the mobile telephone platforms. It's not rocket science. If you put your minds to it, this can be done in 6 months. It can be done. But I think that it is something that, if someone doesn't drive, maybe it doesn't happen. But I believe that GIPS, the Ghana Interbank Payment and Settlement Service, is in a unique position to bring the banks and the telcos together to make their platforms interoperable, so that you can transfer money between the telcos and the banks and so on very, very easily, back and forth between eSwitch and the telcos and so on. This is something I would honestly challenge you, and I want to challenge GIPS and the banks. I would like, and the government would like, to see us do this year, that we successfully have interoperability between our key players, the telcos, the banks, and the payment system architecture in this country. I think it would be very nice if we all put our minds to it to do it. And I think you guys should be talking a bit more for us to get it done. I want to encourage banks and mobile network operators to collaborate to increase the range of services available to customers. With many Ghanaians owning mobile phones, it offers limitless opportunities for the other sectors to introduce vast majority of our citizens to financial products. Some banks now offer the ability to buy treasury bills using mobile money, ability to contribute to insurance products, and pay bills. Fundamentally, ladies and gentlemen, what we are trying to do is to formalize this economy. This economy is so informal, and we want to formalize the economy. Formalizing this economy essentially has three pillars to it. Three pillars of formalization which this government is really trying to make sure that we deal with each of these three pillars are: one, financial inclusion. That if you include everybody in the financial system, then you bring everybody in a formal framework of transactions. So it's very important. Financial inclusion is one of the pillars for formalization. Then you have two other pillars. The national identification. That is the second pillar. And the third pillar is a property addressing system. I think if you have these three pillars, then you have the necessary backbone for a formal economy. And these are the three pillars that we really want attacked this year. I'm not talking of next year. I'm talking of 2017. We've been 60 years trying to do these things. But I think that the benefit of technology and the benefit of shared experiences across countries would allow us to do this year. Why do I say so? For citizens really to register and use the mobile money and digital payment system, they really need an identification instrument, and we have several in the system. In January this year, I inaugurated a committee to start work on the country having a national ID system under directions from the President. The government of Nana Akufo-Addo is convinced that the national ID scheme would formalize the economy through the establishment of a national database using the national identification system as a primary identifier. So this is something which we have been trying to do since 2007, and we have not yet quite gotten there, but we want to do so this year, so that you will have addressed one of the key pillars for formalization. The other pillar is the national address system. And the national address system is also so key. I always tell my friends, I mean, those of you who have visited and lived in countries, in the advanced countries, what will happen in the US, for example, if you woke up and the address system collapsed and nobody could find out an address, the economy will collapse. It's just, they can't move. The economy, just the role of an address system is usually very underestimated. This is what I call the unwritten rules of the game. In economic development, there are some rules of development that are not written. Nobody's going to come to your country and beat your head and say you don't have an address system. They will keep, that's why I say if you are playing a football match and you decide not to have a goalkeeper, the opponents will not tell you to put in the goalkeeper in the goal. They'll keep scoring the goals. You have not put in the goalkeeper. I mean, they wouldn't say, stop, referee, make him put in a goalkeeper before we play. They'll keep scoring. So if you decide not to have an address system, your competitors are not going to tell you to wait, put in an address system, or to have a national ID system. No, they will let you wallow in your chaos whilst they keep scoring the goals. And this is what we have been doing. We have been wallowing in informality, in chaos, and the goals have been scored repeatedly. And so this year, we want to do the national ID system. We want to do a digital addressing system for Ghana. This will allow us to leapfrog even the advanced countries in the context of addressing. So that even any space, which is, 3 by 3 or 5 by 5 or whatever meter square, any space in Ghana, you will have a unique address for that space. Because of Google technology and all of that, we now can leapfrog and go ahead of many advanced countries in this space. And we are going to take advantage of that and leapfrog, so that by this year, again, I'm challenging them, and I think we are going to do it this year. We will implement the digital national address system for Ghana. So every property will have a unique address. And I think if we have the digital addressing system, the national ID system, and then you have interoperability in the mobile digital payment space, you would have dealt with the engine that is going to drive this economic transformation. Those are the unwritten rules of the game. And I think that we will have a major impact as far as economic development is concerned. So I am really very excited about the future in Ghana. When I look at the space and the possibilities and what we are capable of doing, the potential, I believe it's huge. We are just at scratching the surface. But I believe that once we put these elements in place, this digital mobile payments is definitely going to unlock the potential for Ghana. I think that we are going to see some major changes in Ghana if we move that. We have an architecture in place which I don't think any other country in Africa has. You check that. There's simply no country that has that architecture. We have to link them together so that we can move forward and take advantage of that and be that black star on the continent. Thank you very much. God bless you.